It is 9:39 a.m. and I had one trade with TXTM so far, and this was a little bit of a gap ups, which isn't too ideal, but I was interested when it was looking like it was trying to break past this 91 level after it had like a little baby downtrend into the 88s. It started to regain itself, and it just looked like it was going to break 91, and it could have been like a morning spike. That's why I bought 15,000 shares at 9:32, and that was at 90 one. So I got in it right here and it was working, but I actually got out of this one rather quickly because I didn't like how many sellers there were at the ask, but in theory it did get a bit higher. It got as high as 94, and I did sell the next minute at 9:33 at 92 and a half, so it might have been around right here where I sold. Again, it did get a little higher. At this point it fell and kind of went towards this VWAP level, and now maybe it can try to hold VWAP and continue the uptrend and maybe break 94 and then do a follow-up breakout. The only issue again is that this thing is up on the gap up, so it just makes everything a little more sketchy or risky than normal. I'll make an update later. This is the only thing that I'm really looking at right now. Okay, it is 10:17. I want to go over another trade I had with ILUS, and this one did not work out. Maybe I think two trades in the past 2 weeks with ILUS that don't work out. And I think overall, if I don't trade anything else, I might be down like just $1 today. This was a bit of a cheeky setup. It wasn't really the best setup, but I do like how it dropped and it had a whole bunch of volume. And I thought it was going to be something similar to the other day, but not as nice because it wasn't like a clean like a really angled drop. This was more of like something that had some curving action, so it wasn't really the best. But I did buy when so many people were dumping their shares at 922, and it kept holding, and it was just holding for a very, very, very long time. And that made it look ideal, like there was a hidden buyer supporting it, and then the ask would start to get taken out, and it would trade with a little bit of a spread at times, which isn't ideal, but I did buy when it was around right here and it started to transition from what seems like a failed descending triangle pattern to now maybe some kind of price action towards VWAP. I did buy 4,000 shares at 931, and I thought worst case scenario it goes at 85, which is exactly where it got to. I was actually very accurate on my worst case scenario price point and everything, and this one like actually got to it. I just didn't end up selling at the worst case scenario. At 9:53, I was in right here at 9:31, right around here is when I got in. 9:35 was often at the ask, and I placed a little, I guess a little sneaky buy below it, and I got filled at 9:31. And it was starting to work a little bit. It was starting to make a move, above the 9:35 level. But then what happened was is that somebody dropped 100,000 shares at the bid and just like really made it look ugly. And now the support that we had at the bid was no longer as strong as it was because of that big sell, and it wasn't looking too ideal. And then I did get out immediately at 9:56, which was right here at 9:25. Right here is when I got out. And why did I get out? Because a new 300,000 share seller showed up at the ask, and as soon as that showed up, I knew it was time to get out, especially with the price action not looking so good, especially after it tried to uptrend and then it had a whole bunch of volume dumped on it. That was the situation. It did get as low as 85.3, and I thought worst case scenario would have been 85, and I would have lost exactly, I think, $40 or at least somewhere around that number. I don't see anything else that I'm interested in trading. I might start to work on other things because there's just nothing really that nice, and there isn't anything that's like running a lot. This one is running, but this one just doesn't have the volume to make it really ideal. But I'll continuously be looking, but not as much. I'll make an update later if I happen to trade something, if not at the market close. Okay, it is 8:27 and I am here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be down on the day just 15 pennies, and that was with two scratches, TXTM and ILUS. And I think what I could have done better with TXTM is that I could have sold in pieces, and that would have allowed me to have sold a bit higher potentially and have been ideally more profitable, or maybe I could have even have held for a higher low off of this level, and then that would have been another time to sell, although, it didn't really offer that much towards the upside. And yeah, it was just kind of sketchy because it was on a gap up, but let's just see what it would have been like if I saw that the best case scenario, 94 at the very top. That would have been a lot better in terms of percent difference, but it didn't ultimately work out. Ideally, it would have broken the range. It could have traded back and forth, and then it continued to make higher lows and uptrend higher, but that just wasn't the case there. And ILUS has been a very long time since something actually doesn't work out, a setup that I'm in, and then it actually goes to my worst case scenario. I thought worst case scenario would have been a drop to 85, and that's exactly what it did. And there wasn't really anything else for this one to trade. And if I were to have sold at the very bottom, worst case scenario, yeah, that would have been, making its way towards that worst case scenario. That would have been pretty bad. And yep, that's pretty much it. There wasn't anything else that I was interested in trading. Nothing really ideal looking. This one that was kind of weird. It came back to the bottom. Not the really ideal stock to trade because it doesn't have the volume. That's all I have for today.